Look at this. Look what we got. Look at the higher high that formed officially this week on the S&P 500. This was just speculation until we got it. Now we got it. The uptrend is confirmed. The series of higher highs and higher lows is undeniable at this point. So what do? Do we chase it? No, dude. We haven't been chasing it for a long time. But we were looking for this uptrend to confirm because we do expect this market to remain bullish for some time. So now we consider the upward targets. Well, we're getting right near them. It's the golden pocket. It's the 618, it's the 702, it's the 786. We could be on for a pretty big rocket ride coming up here. And guess what? I'm not really chasing it. I'm holding certain positions long. I'm selling into this entire strength. And yeah, I may be selling very, very early, but the point is, this market is frothy. We have a lot of reason to believe that a major knockback is coming, right? The kind of knockback that's going to make everyone forget all about this uptrend, kid. That's the kind of knockback we should expect. A sort of like panicking nightmare type of thing. But before that happens, we should probably expect to find ourselves well within the golden pocket within the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, like for real. This is going to happen quick because this uptrend is confirmed. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That means money is going to pile in on this thing, right? This thing just got licensed to launch. That's basically the way I see it, right? Now, let's look around at some of the other indices and try to figure out where the money's actually flowing, right? Like what is really sustaining the S&P 500 in this uptrend? Well, there's one clear place that I'll show you. It's called the semiconductors, kid. Semiconductors. Yup. We talked about this a little bit before, but really, I need to draw your attention back to it. What do you call this sequence of events? You call this an undeniable uptrend that just broke to another high within that uptrend. Very, very powerful. So this is where my long positions are. So at this point, yep, I'm unloading those things, right? Like I'm unloading, gradually laddering out because I think this is very frothy, but it is bullish. So same kind of deal. Where's the target? Exactly, right? We're pretty much at the target at this point, right? So hopefully I'll time it just right. Next week, I'll let go all the rest of the call options I have on the long side of this index. And that's when the market's probably going to dump. So the thing is, maybe this makes it up to the 786. Maybe the S&P 500 makes it up to the 618 or 702. Point is, I'm not really chasing. I'm not entering new long side positions here. I'm just making my VIX position as monstrous as possible. So when we look at the VIX, the story becomes pretty clear. You're at the bottom of a huge range. Look at the years on this, right? This is going back to January 2020. You're at the bottom of this range, and you have the debt ceiling. You have a lot of other factors that could put major downward pressure on the markets. And if it's not clear, why is the debt ceiling negative for markets? Well, it's because the United States of America is about to run out of spending cash, right? When they run out of spending cash, what do? What do you do when you run out of spending cash? You sell your shit. That's what you do. You put downward pressure on the markets if the United States government, because you have to sell. You're out of cash. That's what's going to happen. And guess what? It's going to be the self-fulfilling prophecy of selling because it's not just the United States government that understands that they need to sell. It's all of the people who are holding assets that will be affected by the United States government having to sell assets due to the fact that they're out of spending cash. It's going to be a panic situation, right? So when you're sort of anticipating a panic situation, the VIX is where you go, right? And so if you're at the bottom of this range, not to say it can't go lower, but if you're at the bottom of this range and you see all of those things coming together, there's one obvious thing that you're going to do here, and you're going to be long. You're going to be buying call options, right? You're preparing to make the biggest trade of your life, right? And that's really true in this case for me. This VIX trade setting up, it's going to be the biggest trade of my life. And that's comparing to all the crypto trades I made. It's the most amount of money I put on the line, but I'm using the exact same strategy that I use with crypto. You buy all the way to zero. Now, a lot of people tell me I'm crazy for doing that. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but it works for me personally because I'm very convicted in what I'm doing. Now, it's a little dicier when you're using call options or put options because you have a time constraint. That's why crypto is so beautiful. There's no time constraint on crypto, right? You can hold for as long as you want. Your crypto holdings are never going to expire. But option contracts will expire. So it becomes a little riskier to buy all the way to zero when you're using option contracts. But tell me if this makes sense to you. My option contracts don't expire till September, right? Do you think this thing is going to spike before September? Well, let's put it this way. I'm betting a lot of money that it probably is. So that's the way I'm thinking of it. I'm loading up as this thing sort of bases out down here, right? I'm not chasing this stuff, even though it's bullish, undeniably bullish, right? And there's plenty more upside. And at this point, I'm holding a few options to the long side, but it's certainly frothy to the point where I don't feel totally safe in those positions, which is why all the money that I have up here, it's really just, it's free money at this point, right? Like I've already taken my initial investment out a long time ago on this trade. And so whatever happens up here, that's free money. It's lottery money. It's like, great. If this thing does something ridiculous, like, pumps up into these areas, which is certainly possible, I guess, in this move, if you consider the S&P 500 still has to make it, the 618, 702, 786, and the semiconductors are already at the 702. It's like, yeah, this could go a fair bit higher. And if it does, good thing I'm holding a little bit, but really, I would still be accumulating VIX call options. I would still be accumulating a position that is going to make money when this market dumps, because whether the market goes a lot higher or a little bit higher, it's going to dump pretty soon. And when I say pretty soon, I'm talking about like within a month. And to be fair, man, I've been right a lot. I actually have been right about everything I've said this year. I'm just pointing that out to almost validate my own speculations here and what I'm doing with my money, because, I'm not saying you guys should put any stock in that, but I certainly am. It's like, remember I said that this back test of the trend line was the biggest buying opportunity of the year? Turned out to be exactly correct on that. Remember how I said we should expect this thing to confirm a higher high to confirm this uptrend? We got that too. So the two major speculations that I based my entire trading strategy on this year came true. So now my next major speculation is really, it's a simple one. It's not complicated. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that when you're coming into the golden pocket, as the United States of America is running out of spending power, you should probably be expecting the market to dump. It's very simple, right? So you have a huge amount of corroboration between the place that the market is heading and the macro background that we're seeing. So it's pretty obvious. If you've been studying, if you've been doing your homework, if you know how to make money in all the situations, then you're kind of getting the perfect setup to make an absolute killing here, right? You're going to make a ton of money on the short side after this rejection from the golden pocket takes place, which I really do believe is coming. And then you're going to get the dip that's actually going to be comparable to this dip, which I said was the biggest buying opportunity of 2022. It still probably will prove to be, only because I think when the market gets knocked back from this golden pocket area, I don't think it's going to break this low. I do not think the market is going to go below the March 13th low. That to me seems highly improbable. I think this uptrend will remain valid. And that kind of puts the market in a position to potentially move to new all-time highs, kid. Right now, I'm getting way ahead of myself here, But that is sort of what's unfolding, right? And let's just say that the market does go to new all-time highs. Who is expecting that? No one. 0 individuals are expecting that. So that's why you have to give that a little bit of credibility. It's possible, and you can see how that can take shape, right? You can see how we're forming this higher high here. We're going to form most likely a higher low. And then after that, this could end up being, the really, really big pump that takes us into new all-time highs, potentially into this area, right? Because that is the next logical target, and nobody would expect it, right? It's so out of the realm of possibility that we could find ourselves up here that you literally need to prepare for it, right? And that's what my crypto holdings are. I mean, I've said many times, I'm sure everyone who watches these videos knows, I'm a permabull on crypto, and that's mainly because trading crypto is really difficult. It's not as easy as trading the actual stock market, and you don't have a derivatives market to help you versus, derivatives market, meaning the options market. You don't have options in crypto. So that makes it a little bit trickier. So crypto, you just hold, right? So that's my hedge in the event that the market does go to new all-time highs, because you better believe crypto is going to go absolutely ridiculous. The last thing I'll point out here is that Bitcoin, right, in the broader crypto market, I could use the crypto index if I wanted to, but Bitcoin is fine. This is probably not going to make another high, right? So crypto already confirmed the uptrend, right? It's past the uptrend. It's unlikely going to break above the April 10th high before we see farther lows, right? So this is what's interesting. Crypto seems to be a bit of a market leading indicator, okay? At least in this current phase that we're in. Because why did I say that the S&P 500 was going to make a new high in that series of higher highs and higher lows? Because Bitcoin already had. Because the NASDAQ already had. Before this week, the NASDAQ had already confirmed a series of higher highs and higher lows. Also, throw in the semiconductors for more corroboration, and you see that everything pointed to the S&P 500 making another high in that series of higher highs and higher lows. So, to be fair, tech at this moment seems to be a market leading indicator. As long as tech remains bullish, we basically need to be macro bullish. Now, I think the swings and volatility are about to get really intense. That's why I think the next big move is a VIX spike. I think that's where the most money to be made here. But in a big picture sense, I mean, think about big picture sense. Do you see anything other than an uptrend at this point? Like, no, you don't. You see only higher highs and higher lows. You potentially see another higher high in the making, at least on the semiconductors. So that's very, very significant here, because think about the relationship of the semiconductors and the cryptocurrency market. Big intertwining relationship there, aka crypto miners use semiconductors. Anybody who uses computers uses semiconductors. Semiconductors are basically building the matrix. I mean, they're important is the major point. Interesting price action there, right? Look at that price on the old semiconductors, right? And that was just after this thing had a reverse split. So it's like, okay, got to pay attention to those kinds of numbers from the universe giving you signals.